Now, if you're creating any kind of listing website with WordPress, you're going to want to group your content together by the actual category. For example, if we take a look at this, you can see we've got desserts, main meals, we've also got vegan. Each of these is a category for the post. And inside each one, we have the relevant posts listed. This is a nice way of organizing everything. I'm going to show you exactly how to do this in this video. Now, first of all, props to Maxim over on Bricks Lab for creating the written version of this, and I've taken inspiration from this. So if you want to check that out, I will link to the original article in the description. Show some support for Bricks Lab. They're doing amazing work over there. But I wanted to create a video version of this because a lot of us prefer to watch a video and kind of get to grips with things a lot quicker than reading. But the written version is there when you want it. So let's dig into Bricks and see exactly how to create this. It's relatively simple and straightforward. We're going to create two different loops and we're going to nest one inside the other. So how do we do it? Well, first of all, I've got a simple section and container listed here, and this is what we're going to just wrap everything in. So with the container selected, let's add in a block. Now this block is going to be where we'll put the post categories and we'll create our first loop around that. So before we do anything else, with the block selected, let's add in a title or a heading, and this is going to be the heading for each one of our different post categories. So what we're going to do is with this selected, come over to content, we'll remove the normal content and we'll just add in some dynamic data. We'll scroll through until we find the option for our terms, and we're going to put in term name. So with the term name inserted, the next thing we're going to do is select our block, and we're just going to create a typical loop. So let's enable the query loop, open the query loop options up, change this from post to terms, and then select the term we want. In this example is categories, which is the standard posts. We'll select that from the list, and basically that's all we really need to do. We can set things to order these if we want to. So let's just say we'll put them by name, so it'll go alphabetical in order. You could, if you wanted to, show empty, but it doesn't make a lot of sense in this example. But let's leave that as it is, and that's the first loop created. And you can see that pulls in our main meals, vegan, and so on. Okay, so that's the first setup. Let's save this to make sure we've got everything committed. And for good organization, let's change this from block, which means nothing, demand, or beast, and set this to be our category query loop. So now we can see exactly what this refers to. Now we're going to create another block. Now what we need to do is make sure this block is on the same level as the heading for our query loop. So let's drag that and set that to be on the same level. So now that will sit in the right position. Once again, let's select our block. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start creating the nested loop. So let's add another block in. Now you don't have to use blocks, you can use divs, containers, whatever you want. For me, I like using the block option. Let's rename this. So this is now our post query loop. Again, we're going to come back and we'll set this to be a loop in a moment, but let's add some items in. First, let's add a heading in. We'll add some rich text in, and we'll add an image in. Now we need to set these to be dynamic data. So our heading, for example, we'll change this from heading. We'll use our dynamic data and say this is the post title. Our rich text, same again. We'll remove the content from here, use our dynamic option, set this to be post content, and we'll set this to be a word limit of, say, 25 characters. That's perfectly fine, or 25 words. And finally, we've got our image. So again, let's select our dynamic data from here and pull in our featured image. Now, just to make sure that everything is laid out correctly, we're going to set our image to be the first item. And to do that, we'll select it. We'll come over to our style, open our layout, scroll through until we see the order, and we'll set this to be -2. And if you're wondering why we're going to do this, check out the video link in the description down below and in the corner at the moment, which is all to do with accessibility and making your card designs more accessible. Important, useful, and very easy to do. Okay, so that's the first part of this done. Now we need to set this loop to be, well, a query loop. Let's select it, come back out to our content, enable our query loop. We're going to set this to be posts, and we'll leave that as it is for now. We're going to scroll down until we come to the taxonomy query, and we're going to add a new taxonomy query. And this is where we're going to connect this to the categories. So what we need to do is change the taxonomy, set this to be categories post, which is connecting it to the post categories. Obviously, if you created custom post types with custom taxonomies, you'd set the relevant information inside there. Then we're going to set a field and the terms. So this is going to be term ID, and the terms is going to be using the dynamic data. And again, we're going to use that term ID. So we're going to scroll through until we find the terms and choose term ID from the list. That's basically all we need to do when it comes to setting the data up. And now you can see we've got all the relevant information grouped together under the relevant sections. So now we can just apply a simple bit of styling to this. So let's just use a simple grid. We'll select our block, which is the parent container for our query loop for the posts. And we're going to come over, set our display to be grid. We'll pop in something like a 30 pixel gap, and we'll set this to 1FR, 1FR. And you can see now everything is set up the way that we need it to be set up. Now, if we save this and preview it, we can now see our desserts are grouped together, our main meals are grouped together, and if we scroll down, our vegan are also grouped together. So you can see with a little simple bit of styling applied to it, now things are grouped together logically under desserts, main meals, vegan, and so on. This is a great way of being able to group and organize your content into logical groupings. This is great if you've got a listing website, you want to put an alphabetical list in, for example. Keep it really simple with just the categories and then the link information underneath and a simple link itself, or get creative and start adding the posts like I've done in this video. But like I said at the top of this video, do check out Bricks Labs. Thanks to Maxim for actually creating this and showing us how exactly to do this. And hopefully he doesn't mind the fact that I've created a video version of his written tutorial. But like I say, the link to this is in the description, so check that out and everything else that Bricks Labs brings to the table. As always, all applicable links are in the description. My name's Paul C. This is WPTuts, and until next time, take care.